only 23 years of age. Nick Shirley reported and on the Minnesota fraud, and it blew up so much. But this wasn't the first report detailing insane fraud, particularly in the daycare stuff that Nick Shirley reported. In fact, KSDP Channel 5 Eyewitness News, in the same building where I used to work at KSDP AM, which was a great station back in the day, reported in January almost everything that he did. And I'm not knocking him. His reporting confirmed what they did, but his reporting was seen as of right now by 1.2 million or 1.16 million people in like 2-3 days. So his report is one that everybody is watching. The one that has gotten everybody alarmed about the insane scale of Somali fraud. Check this out. First of all, Sweet Angel Childcare, one of the ones exposed, receives $1.26 million in funding. Their phone number goes directly to the office of Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, literally so as to say, you think you're going to bust us for fraud? You're going to have to go through the governor who's got our backs. In fact, Governor Walz, during previous accusations on this, including this one, says he will instead welcome more Somali immigrants to Minnesota amid the fraud scandal. He wants more. That's what the left does. They double down. They triple down. Indeed. Let's look at Ilhan Omar. Look at how much she and her husband have been enriched. Look at this. Omar disclosed 2024 evaluations of Rose Lake Capital LLC, a business that was co-founded by her husband. She says in 2024 it's worth between $5 and $25 million, his business that he co-founded. But just 1 year earlier, the business was worth, according to her, $1 to $1,000. Somehow it goes from $1 to $1,000 to $5 to $25 million in 1 year. Wow! Oh, she must have Nancy Pelosi advising her, like Nancy's stock portfolio. Now, it's also Ilhan Omar's former quote-unquote enforcer. A campaign staffer for Ilhan Omar, who has represented her 5th district in Minnesota since 2019. Her staffer claimed he served 5,000 meals a day under the fake food site Advanced Athletic Development. He instead pocketed millions and pleaded guilty to fraud in August of this year. On Omar's 2018 and 2020 campaigns, he acted as an quote-unquote enforcer, managing a high-intensity voter mobilization efforts in Minneapolis Somali community. Aha! Could it be that it's a perfect cycle coming around? Fraud, money goes into politicians, politicians continue to support the Somali community and cover up and ignore the fraud. And it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. Kelly Loeffler, the head of the SBA, Small Business Administration, says she is halting $5.5 million of annual funding from Minnesota pending further review. The action follows alarming findings, she wrote on Twitter, X. Individuals indicted in the $1 billion Somali fraud scheme also received at least $3 million in PPP loans, the COVID loans, and SBA has since identified 13,600 additional PPP loans in Minnesota, totaling $430 million they suspect is fraudulent. So she's immediately cutting off all funding from the SBA to the state of Minnesota, which is exactly what should be done. What else do we have? Feeding Our Future investigation showed that there was, this is where you're feeding kids during COVID and you're helping feed poor kids. That is, at least so far, Feeding Our Future, $250 million in fraud. 78 indictments, 57 convictions. Almost all of them are Somalis. What else do we have? I mean, this is insane. Now, you know, the assistant U.S. attorney for the District of, I believe, Minnesota. I don't think it's just Hennepin County, and I don't think it's just Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is Ramsey and Hennepin County, where I used to live years ago. But look at this. The state of Minnesota found, let me go back to the U.S. attorney. He said that he believes that $1 out of every $2 coming in Medicaid aid, $1 and $2 is fraud. Out of $18 billion, B as in boy, going in for Medicaid in the state of Minnesota, he says $9 million is fraud so far. Could be more. Now, Nick Shirley was not the first person, as I mentioned. KSTP 5 Eyewitness News ran their own investigation in Minnesota. I watched a 6-minute piece. Everything that Shirley said, they said about 9 months ago or so. But nonetheless, still fantastic reporting. And they were at the Quality Learning Center, a.k.a. Quality Leering Center, which I'll play some audio from Nick Shirley if you missed it earlier, because the sign says leering, not learning. Although that would make sense because they're leering at the reporter saying, what are you doing here? Who are you? Why are you here? As Shirley went about reporting from dozens of facilities how nobody was there, or the doors were locked, or there was no kids at all in the place. The same thing that KSTP found, TV Eyewitness News, earlier this year. Still going on. But the early leering center. So they're leering out and staring at you saying, what are you doing here? Nick Shirley was followed by some Somalis at one of the daycare facilities he went to. They followed him. Wow. Now, the Quality Learning Center, supposed child care facility, has received $8 million since 2019. Potentially $8 million since 2019, $8 million in 6 years for possibly nothing other than having a storefront window. KSTP found when they went to these other places too, there was nothing, there was nobody there were no kids, nothing was open, a metal pull-down, like you see with shops, a metal pull-down, like a storage facility type of a thing. It's just unbelievable. This is so filthy, disgusting. Tom Emmert, Republican from the state of Minnesota, congressman, says $4 million going to an education center that can't even spell learning correctly. That's what he says, the Early Learning Center, a.k.a. Early Learning Center. $4 million. All right, now, a couple other things. The Wall Street Journal did a comparison. Red state Indiana versus blue state Minnesota. Fraud versus no fraud, handling fraud. Watch this. So here we go. Minnesota Medicaid spending on in-home programs surged $170 million in 2024 from $4.6 million in 2021. I'm going to repeat this and go backwards. Minnesota Medicaid spending on in-home programming started out in 2021, in-home care for Medicaid, $4.6 million. We'll say it's $5 million, okay? So it went from $5 million in 2021 to $170 million in 3 years. $5 to $170 million in 3 years, which tracks with a similar increase in spending on housing services. What does this mean? It's just like John Stossel did several years ago with his report, where he said for every dollar that the federal government increased in how much you can borrow for college, almost exactly $1 went up in this tuition people paid. Same thing. Now, here's the difference. Indiana, a red state, how did they handle suspected fraud? They didn't cover up, hide it, deny it, and did you know that Walz fired and closed an office that literally for the state of Minnesota was responsible for finding and stopping and fraud. He fired that person, closed the office to save money. Well, he saved a hell of a lot of money. We're probably out $15 billion, $12 billion. I don't think he's going to make it. He's going to run for an unprecedented third term. No Minnesota governor has ever run for a third term. This is going to be his first chance at the first person to run for a third term. I talked to John Hinderaker this morning in Chicago when I was on the air there, and he's the Powerline blog guy they've been very well known for like 20 years out of there at least. He's an attorney. He's based out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and he's a blogger that's done very, very well. He says there's a very good chance and it's a big if because Minnesota has trouble getting any decent Republican candidates for governor or that kind of a statewide thing. If they get a decent candidate for governor in Minnesota, Republican, they will beat Walz, he thinks, because it's so bad with the fraud. So we have that. But Indiana literally did everything they could to stop the out-of-control spending on Medicaid and fraud. Indiana expects to save $466 million, almost $500 million on Medicaid over the next 2 years. They're going to save almost $500 million. Medicaid enrollment in the state of Indiana has declined by 11% thanks to eligibility checks. Simple verification. The enrollment has declined by 11%. Wow. Meanwhile, Minnesota is the exact opposite. It's worse. Indiana also barred managed care from advertising for Medicaid patients. Indiana's Medicaid spending is now expected to grow 3.2% this year versus what they predicted, which is 9.5%. They literally decreased expected expenses, money spent on Medicaid. They literally decreased it by 2/3. That's what a responsible state can do. That's a red state versus a blue state. One is rife with fraud and excuses and wants more of the fraudsters coming into their community. The red state fixes it and saves a ton of money for us. Which side would you like to have for your state? Are you kidding me? That's obvious. Let's play a little bit of audio. Here is journalist Nick Shirley, followed by Fox News, commenting about it as he's in front of the Early Learning Center, a.k.a. Learning Center.
So this is Quality Learning Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center. We've arrived to ABC Learning Center. All the windows are blacked out. I would like to check a child in the daycare.
Why?
Can I speak to a manager? I would like to see if I could bring...
Why would you want... Why? Why do you want to check in about daycare? Why? What?
Little Joey, my son, little Joey here. Is there paperwork, or can I check out the daycare?
You got $2.66 million this year in funding, and $2.5 million last year. We're just wondering where the kids are.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going.
Wow. You're right.
So
that
good.
was the old good journalism. By the way, Fox Digital reached out to that learning center to try and, get a statement from them. And apparently the number doesn't even work. So we did not get a response there.
And I told you the other one went directly to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's office.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on?
That's my favorite one.
Answer the question.
I steal your money.
Are there children? There's no children inside this building. Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia.
Why not? A little bit more.
Here in Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong, and they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. If you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working, midday, children should be in here, and this place is licensed for 99 children, and this is the outside.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think you're going to see hundreds of Somalis going to prison for a long time on this. Minnesota Governor, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, do you remember her? She's the one who wore the shirt that said "Protect Trans Kids," featuring a knife on the shirt as a threat at her press conference when she was proudly announcing that she and the state of Minnesota passed a new law saying that a young man or a boy or girl that want to get their hoo-has thwacked off, their breasts thwacked off, they can go into Minnesota, leaving from Texas where I'm sitting, or any other state in the union, show up there, get that thwacked off without their parents' permission. Law enforcement cannot cooperate either for people like you or me that are like, my kid's there, they're going to whack their you-know-whats off. So she proudly announced that. But yeah, and here she is, with all the fraud going on, having doing a pre-recorded video or social media post, and she's like the Handmaid's Tale. She has put a hijab on, covering up her whole face, well, her head at least, and her whole body. And she's next to a Somali woman that's in a hijab, nodding in approval, and kind of overseeing her. So here she is, the Handmaid's Tale leftist version, and here she is bowing to the Somali fraud and beclowning herself like the Handmaid's Tale with her outfit.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Peggy Flanagan. I am the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota, and I'm really honored and humbled to be here with all of you today. I am incredibly clear that the Somali community is part of the fabric of the state of Minnesota. I think about my friendship with...
Okay, the message is real clear. If you are a Somali, we will bow to you, we will semi-worship you, you will be our masters. They are a voting bloc in Minnesota of 100 to 150,000 people. These people are afraid of the Somalis. They're afraid to call them out. So the message is, if you're a Somali, invade, come in as much as you want into this country and just freaking steal from us, and we got your back. As long as you're Somali, steal, steal, steal. That's the message. I'll continue to follow this like all of us. This is incredible. It's going to be worse and worse and worse than you even think. It's going to blow away, I think, all of our minds. How much fraud, how many people. And I thank God. Oh, by the way, right now as I speak at 6:43 p.m. Monday, December 29th, as of like this afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, DHS already has agents on the ground going to all these daycare facilities, investigating, taking notes, taking pictures, etc. So this is very, very good, and I think we're going to see a big house of cards fall. And I think this is going to fall squarely on the DFL party, which is the Democrat Party in Minnesota, Democrat Farmer Labor Party. Same thing as Democrats. Okay, now this is great. Here out of North Texas in Tarrant County, Arlington, Texas, where the Cowboys play. Family of man detained by ICE is demanding his release after son suffers 2 near-fatal health emergencies. Basically, a 30-year-old son of this man, this Jordanian man, his 30-year-old son has a severe condition called Pompe disease, and they're saying that because he was deported by ICE, he showed up for an ICE hearing. Not ICE, they show up for the paperwork routine thing at ICE. They get arrested because they're illegal and they get deported. And so this guy, this Jordanian man, was allegedly the sole caretaker of his 30-year-old son who has this profound disease. Now they're saying that he was taken into custody 2 months ago, October 28th. Now they're saying that this guy almost died. His kid, 30-year-old, almost died twice from near-fatal health scares suffered by his son, who he serves as the primary caregiver. Now, wait a minute. Is this Jordanian illegal living in Texas, living in Arlington, is he on the dole, on the welfare system, on Medicaid, getting money to be the primary caregiver? Are we paying for his Medicaid as the primary caregiver? I don't know. But would you be surprised? I wouldn't. ICE is the family is outraged because his son almost died twice because of it. Nobody else, they're claiming, can care for his severe condition, which I don't dispute the severe condition, but the idea that he's the only one that can keep the guy alive is a joke. In fact, how's he been alive for 2 months? They're claiming he almost died twice. They say that his family says ICE is directly responsible for these emergency hospitalizations. They say that their dad is the only one who knows the son's complex medical needs. He knows every breath the son takes, every medical alarm, every danger sign. And they're having an emergency press conference tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Listen, the idea that one man is the golden child and is Goltar the keymaster and he's the only way to stay alive is a far-out, false, bold, bald-faced lie. Total BS. You know what? Your dad can be deported to Jordan and take the son with him and he can care for him there. Be here legally, period. And guess what? I have good news for you. You're in a first world country. So you know what? You can figure out how to take care of him. And you better thank God you're not in Jordan. Rather, you're in the States. So no, not at all buying that crap. Here's a couple of gun stories. Now, when the left says gun violence, that's a lie. Guns don't commit violence. But these are some gory and alarming shootings and family violence taking place. And then we're going to get into another case where a guy shot somebody who stole his gun. The guy's probably going to go to jail for shooting the thug. But let me go into this one first. A North Texas man allegedly shoots his son in the face, kills the son's mother, exchanges gunfire with officers before killing himself, WFAA TV Channel 8 says. In Grand Prairie, he allegedly shot his son in the face, then killed the son's mother during a standoff. 62-year-old man allegedly shot his adult son in the face after his son attempted to intervene in an argument between the suspect and the victim's mother. The son survived the shooting and ran to a neighbor's house to call 911. When the cops eventually showed up, Grand Prairie PD, they pushed the front door open and went in, and the suspect immediately began shooting, and they returned fire. So listen to this, though. What's really important to know is this. I'm going to give you one more story about a domestic violence or domestic disturbances. Domestic disturbances sounds more innocuous, and that's the call. Domestic disturbances are the number one killer of our cops. It goes from 0 to 100 in a split second. And I'll never forget Officer Jillian Smith, the beautiful young lady who was fresh out of college. I think she went to UT Arlington, and she was an Arlington police officer. She was killed in her first year going to a domestic disturbance call that went from 0 to 100, and she died. So, and this is a fact that all law enforcement officers know, and you need to know. Domestic disturbances are the number one killer of our cops. This is why they do things that some people find offensive. This is why they do precautionary measures. This is why they draw their weapons sometimes, and they order commands. And if you don't follow the commands, they do bad things to you. But they take charge, and they take charge in a serious way because they can't mess around. Pray for our officers. Separately, during a welfare check on Sunday, McKinney police found a former city manager, Leonard Reagan, and his wife. He's 73, his wife Jackie is 72, dead in their Dunster Drive home. The couple's son, 34-year-old Bryce Reagan, discovered inside Fox 4 reports with a firearm. He was shot by officers following a standoff, remains hospitalized. Again, domestic disputes are the deadliest things for cops. They just are, statistically, and everybody knows that it's in law enforcement. Be aware of that. Okay, here's a case where I think this guy's going to jail. He thinks he was okay, but he's not. And I'll tell you why in just a second. Security guard, West Dallas 7-Eleven. It's like 3 in the morning, and somebody comes up to his car at this gas station, convenience store, whatever. Man comes up. They speak briefly. Then the man reaches into the security guard's car and steals a gun. The man tries to get away in a dark-colored Dodge Charger, but as he pulled away, the security officer got out of a sedan and opened fire. The dude he shot later died. In the state of Texas, once they commit the crime, if they turn and flee, they are no longer a threat. You shoot them, you are summarily executing them if you kill them, or summarily punishing them with a shot to the body if they live. You cannot execute judgment and punishment on anybody who has committed a crime against you. You can use deadly force when you have an imminent fear of immediate bodily injury, imminent bodily injury, great bodily injury or harm or death. When you have that imminent fear, you can use deadly force. So if he mugs you, and he's still facing towards you, and he's got that weapon, whatever it may be, and you fear and it's reasonable, then you shoot that guy and kill him, then you're going to be fine. If he pivots and turns, I learned this, and this is why everybody should take a license to carry class, even though you don't have to anymore. I continue to renew my license to carry. I've renewed it for the 3rd time the other day because I have reciprocity. When I drive up to Illinois and Chicago, for example, or when I go to Colorado, when I go to Arkansas, even New Mexico, a blue state that still has pro-gun policies for that in that respect, I can have my license to carry, and I can have it concealed in all those states, including Oklahoma, Missouri. I mean, dude, I would never flip it around. I would always keep it that way. But the license to carry course taught me that. They had a scenario. They showed a guy robbing somebody in their apartment complex in their lobby, where you open the door, you go upstairs to your apartment, or he's in that lobby area right there. Tiny little lobby area, like the size of this room or something less. Anyways, the thug comes in after him, puts a gun to him, takes his wallet. The thug turns around, goes right, opens the door and flees. The guy chases after him and shoots him in the back as he's fleeing. You're going to jail for homicide. You are not the judge and jury and executioner. This guy's an idiot, and he's a security guard. He should know the basics, dude. I took a license to carry course in the great state of Texas. I don't even know anymore, like 13 years ago, I don't even know. And I'll never forget that, because I don't want to go to jail because I'm an idiot. So I think that's constitutional carry is fine. I got no problem with it, but I'm telling you, get your license to carry to learn. Oh, hey. Did you know it's Kwanzaa? Did you know that up until the 1st, we got, 3 days until the end of 3.5 days before Kwanzaa is over. Happy Kwanzaa! Happy Kwanzaa! With that, I want to mark Kwanzaa with you today. Very special time. I want to share with you the founder of Kwanzaa and his legacy. It's very important as we celebrate Kwanzaa. Maulana Karenga, his real name is Ronald McKinley Everett. According to Grok, here's what Grok tells us all about him. It's beautiful. Kwanzaa is beautiful. Let's get in the right mood. Kwanzaa! Happy Kwanzaa! All right, so Maulana Karenga, his real name Ronald McKinley Everett. When we mark Kwanzaa today, it's important to know how it all began. In 1970, when he was a convicted felon in 1966. Convicted felon. In 1971, he was convicted of felony assault and false imprisonment in a case involving severe torture of 2 black women. Happy Kwanzaa! Severe torture of 2 black women who were members of his black nationalist organization called U.S., United Slaves. The women were allegedly stripped naked. Happy Kwanzaa. They were stripped naked, allegedly, and beaten with electrical cords and a karate baton, whipped, burned with a hot soldering iron, including burn in the mouth and against the face with that soldering iron. They had detergent and hoses forced into their mouths, and one had a toe crushed in a vice. Happy Kwanzaa. That's Kwanzaa. You can hear Kwanzaa coming in with the screams. Karenga was sentenced to 1 to 10 years in prison, served about 4 years at California Men's Colony. His response: Grok says he has declined to discuss the case in detail with reporters, and he omits it from his official biographies. Such a beautiful Kwanzaa history. Why would you not share this with us? I think it's precious. Happy Kwanzaa. All right, and one more thing. This is not going to be fun, but it's very important. Hamas and radical Islam are Satanists. They do vile, vile things to people. 2 men have spoken out, one anonymously, the other one publicly, that they were sexually assaulted and raped by these satanic Hamas members while in captivity. A new woman comes out today who's well known as one of the hostages freed. But she has this story out of the Daily Mail. I'm very proud of her. I would play it for you, but she speaks in Hebrew, so you're not going to understand it. My rape hell in Gaza. Sex slave hostage feared that she was pregnant after being raped while unconscious. Described how one attacker was ecstatic as she wept through a 30-minute rape session. Basically, I'm not going to, I read the whole piece because it's just riveting. You can't stop. As soon as they got her into custody, they raped her. They sent her to stay with one of the terrorists at a house. He raped her all the time. Then another guy came in the scene there and helped watch her. They both raped her. He said that he was going to. Hamas said that he can kill him, but if you come with me now, we'll be able to go away and you won't get killed. He said take a shower first. She went in the shower. He followed her and raped her again. One time, like you heard there, for 30 minutes while she was just bawling, she had to look out the window. She was being raped and see she saw a bird, a blue sky, birds chirping, and she said, "I'm there." She had to disassociate. She was raped in the hospital. When she got to the hospital after her arm was horribly wounded to the point where she thought it needed to be amputated, she was asking them to amputate it. That's how bad the pain was. As soon as she got to the hospital, they didn't treat her wounds. They raped her. They were ripping off her clothes. A bunch of them were ripping her clothes off. This is how Islam, in the Islamic world, I should say, how they treat women like cattle. There are good Islamic people like Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, who exposes everything about the evils of CARE, Hamas, Hezbollah, Muslim Brotherhood. No better advocate against radical Islam is somebody like Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. I've interviewed him 2 times at least. Great guy. You'll see him on Mark Levin's show from time to time. Anyway, they continued to rape her. Then they took her into the tunnels and they raped her. 4 guys would do it sometime. I mean, the point being is these Satanists are vile, satanic, devil cult worshippers who look at a woman like a piece of dog meat, a dog. And it is vile. And you need to know the depths of their evil, because that is our enemy. And that is it's not just the Jews' enemy, it's our enemy. They're going to come for us too. Mark Levin was talking about something on a best of holiday version for the weekend the other day. I love his weekend show. Way better than his radio show. And because he talks, it's in depth. He interviews brilliant thinkers and such, and he breaks down stuff in lengthy, in-depth monologues. But as far as this, he said that, and I so agree with him, I am so angry that YouTube, social media will not allow, I bet you Elon Musk would, the State of Israel must release the GoPro camera video from the Hamas terror attacks on the Holocaust, the second Holocaust, when they attacked from Gaza and broke the ceasefire on October 7th. We need to see that. And the reason we need to see that is because people need to see the depravity, the depths, the satanicness of Satanism, of radical Islam. How they regale in gang raping a woman, cutting her breast off and throwing it around like it's a softball, then throwing it on the ground, laughing as they rape her, then put a gun to her head, shoot her in the head while they're raping her. They need to see this, because you know how the left, they will not go when they're asked, come on, you want to see this? Can I show this to you? They run like it's kryptonite on Superman. The world needs to see this. They need to see this. And my prayer is that they will. You have to see the depths of this evil. And you don't have to if you don't want to, but it's got to get out there. Enough people will see it. Like when Nicholas Berg was beheaded by the Al-Qaeda terrorist back in the day. I watched it because I had to watch it. Not only as a talk show host so I can describe it and talk about it, but I wanted to watch it because I want to see the depths of the evil. It's so... That's radical Islam. And the way I recall that one was like the way he was sawing Nick Berg's head off. It was like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be macabre, but truthful. It was like he was doing a barbecue roast where you have the whole pig on the spigot, and then you're I mean, it's a pig, it's dead, it's been cooked, and you're just struggling, like, and then you keep going because it's done as if you're cutting up a turkey or something. It's just vile and inhuman. I will see you tomorrow, my friend.